شنگال تدلی هر ولات حزکی دا برینداری شنگال آخی نام جگزه باکور جروندک من ایشا تدباری شنگال از شنگال روشلات و باکور روجاوا و باشور لسر تا اوین دارم شنگال اره شنگال اره راست ایرو جتا دورم لولات خلکی نتو یارا جتا پیو توار نتوارا شنگال شنگال گلا ولات من بیت هر 14 سال جبو من هر گاف مرنه شنگال
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for coming here today to stand in support with the Yazidi community in such a difficult day. On this day, 3rd of August, we gather to mark the 11th anniversary of the genocide inflicted upon the Yazidi community in Iraq. Today, we honor the memory of those who lost their lives and stand in solidarity with the survivors and reaffirm our commitment to remember and to support all who endured such a profound tragedy. هون همو بخير هاتن قالك ممنونش هاتناوا هكا هون همو الفيروجي الفرد موجودن دام قاربن كأب آكب سري مهاتي أم بدنا خويا كرن وعالم دنكي ما بكا وفي هذيا ما إشخودي أفي الدستي داعش دا وگرین ابساغی و سلامتی الما افروجکا رشل ملاتي ما ایزیدیا و ایرو هادی نور داد کرایانز دی اش عبادا کبسری مهاتی احیا بکن الفيروجي لازم بهم يزدي همو دكرا شهيدة خوا قال فرماني چوين تكريم بكن وتدامني بخويشكو داكت خوار بكن اتكا بساغي اسلامتي وگريانش دستي داعش. First, I would like to acknowledge the country. Before I start this day, I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people as the traditional custodian of this land on which our gathering is being held today. I would also like to pay my respect to their elders in the past, present, and emerging generations. Now I'd like to ask you all to stand for a minute of silence in the honor of and memory of the Yazidis who were lost during the genocide. Let us hold them in our thoughts and reflect on their enduring legacy and the pain endured by their families.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming here. صباح بخير. خدي في هاتين جورا. أفهاتنا هنا دينا في دري خديش ورا شوينا برجالة أمارش غاري قبول بك. My name is Shamu Hassan. I was born in Shingal 1965. I'm example between the many thousands of Yazidian who lost his family. On this day, I lost all my family. Two important things happened on this day I need to talk about. The first one, the Shingal was controlled under the forces, I think about the more than 2,000 security forces. And in the morning like today, all these forces disappeared. Here the disaster began. More than 6,000 Yazidis killed on this day. مدفع أم بينا بيرا وإيرو وكا إيرو شنغال البن كنترول حكومة دبو زيدة ترش 12,000 قواتي أمني موجود بالويدري دتشت إيرو تشيبون وقت بهي أمرابوين هر 12,000 قواتي عسكري الخيام ومنديد وطوفانا قرار بسري مرجعات زيدة ترشش هزار ياتا كشتر وكا إيرو مرن حقا كسكب مرني كيم نابي خسورة معفو بكنس ذكارم تمام. Sorry, I can't continue. جارك دي خدي دعاء الخير وخدمة ربك وفي عادنا في دري خديش ورب شوينا برمالا شيخادي قبول بك حجي إيرو في دري شمعيك في غزت خديش رب قايقي برانكي قبول بك حجي شمعيك في غزت إيرو باريكي وكم سبقت
قالك ممنون شمو خدي خدمات قبول بك. On behalf of the Yazidi community, I warmly welcome each of you and sincerely thank you for joining us today as we commemorate the anniversary of the Yazidi genocide, a day marked by profound sorrow, remembrance and resilience. Today, on the 3rd of August, we gather to honor the memories of those who were killed, abducted and displaced when ISIS launched its brutal attack on our people in 2014. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the survivors, those who continue to bear unimaginable pain, those who are still waiting in hope for the return of their loved ones, and those who, despite immense hardship, have rebuilt their lives with extraordinary strength and courage. This day is not only for remembrance, it is a call to justice, to truth, to action. It serves as a powerful reminder that the suffering endured by the Yazidi community must never be forgotten, and such atrocities must never be allowed to happen again to anyone. Now I would like to ask Rose Hassan to come on stage and deliver her speech. Rose Hassan is a distinguished and committed member of our community whose voice carried deep pain, especially as her mother has remained missing since 2014.
Today, we gather with heavy hearts and solemn remembrance as we mark the 11th anniversary of the 2014 Yazidi genocide, also known as Black Day. It is a day that changed the course of our lives, a day that egged deep scars into the fabric of our community, and a day that we must never forget. 11 years ago, on August 3rd, 2014, the world witnessed an atrocity that defied comprehension. On this day, the region of Shingal fell into the hands of the terrorist organization ISIS. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria launched a brutal attack against the Yazidi people, a campaign marked by unimaginable violence, suffering, and loss. Many of our brothers and sisters were killed, and countless others were subjected to unspeakable horrors. Thousands of men were persecuted in just a few days, while little boys were kidnapped, forced to convert to Islam, and trained into soldiers to kill and go against their own people. Women and girls were taken as captives, forced into slavery, sold into slave markets, and stripped of their dignity. There was no difference between young and old, between elderly men and girls. The name alone was enough, Yazidi, and for that name alone, people were killed, buried in mass graves. Families were torn apart, and our sacred homeland of Sinjar was left in ruins. Today, as we stand here, we remember the lives lost, the dreams shattered, and the innocence stolen. We honor the resilience of those who survived, and we pay tribute to the strength of our community, which has endured despite the darkest of times. For me, this day holds a deeply personal significance. My grandmother, a beacon of love and wisdom in our family, was among those taken by the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. She was a woman of grace and strength, a keeper of our traditions and stories. Her laughter could light up the darkest room, and her kindness knew no bounds. But on that fateful day, she was taken from us, and we have not heard from her since. The pain of her absence is a wound that never heals. Every day we hold on to hope, hoping for a miracle, hoping for her return. But as the years pass, the silence grows louder, and the void she left behind becomes more profound. My grandmother's story is not unique. It is a story of countless families who continue to search for their loved ones, who continue to yearn for closure and justice. The 2014 genocide was not the first time the Yazidis faced existential threats, but it was one of the most devastating. More than 5,000 Yazidis were killed, 6,417 Yazidi women and kids were kidnapped, and around 60 shrines were destroyed. The attack of the ISIS was not only an assault on our lives, but was also an attempt to erase our culture, religion, and identity. The community was displaced, with many seeking refuge in camps in Iraq and abroad. The trauma of the genocide continues to haunt survivors, many of whom still live in precocious conditions, struggling with the psychological scars of their experiences. A Yazidi girl, Fazia Amasido, who was kidnapped and sold to ISIS before getting trafficked to Hamas in Gaza, has recently been rescued and reunited with her family after a harrowing 11 years since the Yazidi genocide. There are still approximately around 2,800 Yazidi women and kids who are still held captive in Iraq and other Middle Eastern countries such as Syria, Turkey, Gaza Strip, Iran, and more. Yazidis are still in the hands of ISIS and underscores the urgent need for action. We must continue to advocate for their rescue and bring them home safely to reunite them with their families and loved ones. What happened in Shingal was a genocide. And after 11 harrowing years, what has changed? More than 2,500 Yazidi men and women are still missing. Tens of thousands are still living in camps unfit for human life, and the mass graves are still buried beneath the soil. This story is not told because it's a tale of the past, not it is merely told to stir sadness or emotion. It is told because this genocide has not ended. Those who weren't killed by the weapons back then are being killed today by neglect, marginalization, and silence. The world speaks loudly about human rights, yet Shingal is still waiting for its rights. The killers were never held accountable. The land was never rebuilt. Justice was never delivered, and victims were never recognized as they should be. As we reflect on the past and look towards the future, we extend our deepest gratitude towards the United Nations, the Australian Government, and the Multicultural Council for their unwavering support and solidarity. Their efforts in providing humanitarian aid, advocating for justice, and fostering multicultural understanding have been invaluable to our community. We thank them for standing with us in our darkest hours and for continuing to support our journey towards healing and rebuilding. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to invite Belinda Crane, representing the Multicultural Council of Wagga Wagga, to share a few words with the Yazidi community on this day. Belinda has been a strong supporter, true friend of the Yazidi community, and we are deeply grateful for her unwavering dedication and commitment in standing with us for many years.
صباح الخير وكلك ممنونش برهاتناوا أفريسالا ويتا قوتنا بسماني ما يزيدي بلندا وكام ترجمان دجيرا إيش قبلي من الدماء مولتي كارشل كانسل بها إيرو سي إهاجت أم هاتينا فير إيش بروجا رش روجا كحزين وذكرك أبزحمت أفروج هتا دنيا ودي من دلي إزيديها موادبي وهجي شخصية كهبالي إزيديابي إيش دي مولتي كارشل كانسل وقافا احترام والتقدير إيش هالشخص كي إيزيديرا أما بورا ساكنين حزني دا إجبر إيزيدي إلها كمرين وتس هكا كتد لواندا وبرينا هكا واندا معين بس إيرو روجا كجبر خورتيا وجيكا الفان سالد بشتوي روجا رش مجتمع إيزيدي وخصوصيا إيد واقع خويا كرين إد القوينة بكرامة بسبر وحزنا بخوره الكرد ودستاناني حتى وحياتك أخوة نو تشيكر البر وثقافة إيمان أخوة جبي مدينة رقود مدينة عائلة مساعدة يكودود كن يزارون جحين القلق مدرسة وشباب يناقضوا الجيل النورة مجتمع دي هاتينا يدو داوة دوا دي بفخر وكرامة محسا قصة مزن كرينا وشلو إزار وارا البيجن دانهي لنهويا ولغة داوة ونداببي إيش هفالد مد إيزيدي واقرا مد بيهون زانبين هكا بهاتنا وأفضل خوش بويا سبري البرنا خوشيام قوي كرن مساهمة وأف مدينة قوي تركر وخوش تركريا أمزارن هكا برين قلق وقجيرت بي تاساق ببي أمي بورا ماشين نبس روجارش هرو حتى هون حياتها خوا شنو آفاك نامي دي بحساوكين وشاجعين وشوا حلمن إيش لا إلو روجك إجباني هكا تشوين را احترام وتقدير به لحظك هكا قواتل تلي هر شخص كي يزيدي تبي إجباء أوفيسا بلندا ومولتي كالتشر كاسر احترام وهافارتي وتشجيع إشوا هموارا كلك ممنون.
Thank you, Belinda, for your kind words, and thank you, Shilan, for interpreting. It is now my honor to invite Dr. James Cockayne, the New South Wales Anti-Slavery Commissioner, to address us. Dr. Cockayne has worked closely and compassionately with the Yazidi survivors, and we are deeply grateful for your presence and ongoing commitment. Your support and advocacy mean a great deal to our community, and we are sincerely thank you for standing with us today.
Morning, thank you. I'm James Cockayne. I'm New South Wales' Independent Anti-Slavery Commissioner. I'm honoured to be invited to be here with you to remember all those you lost 11 years ago, everything you lost 11 years ago, and those who continue to be missing. Today we gather in a place traditionally owned by the Wiradjuri people. Their dispossession was also bound up with genocide and with enslavement. And we gather on a day when thousands of people will be marching in Sydney to protest an ongoing genocide in Gaza, to remind us all of that promise, never again. But we gather to mark a different and also ongoing genocide, the genocide and enslavement of the Yazidi people, and to mark Yazidi courage, survival, and the beginnings of recovery here in a new land. We gather with profound purpose and solemn remembrance. 11 years ago, the world witnessed humanity's capacity for the most unconscionable evil. In Shingar, Iraq, the darkness descended upon a community that had already survived more than 70 previous genocidal episodes throughout its long history. Yet here we stand, bearing witness, not only to unspeakable tragedy, but to the extraordinary resilience that you have shown. As someone who has been involved throughout my career in efforts to understand and dismantle systems of oppression, I've learned that evil flourishes not merely through the actions of perpetrators, but through the inaction of those of us who allow the system to continue. The Yazidi genocide was not an isolated eruption of violence. It was the culmination of systematic failures, the collapse of protective institutions, the normalisation of discrimination, and the international community's inadequate response to early warning signs. Let us confront the magnitude of what occurred 11 years ago. ISIS launched a coordinated assault that would forever alter the trajectory of an ancient people. In the span of hours, hundreds of thousands of Yazidis were killed, kidnapped, or displaced. Over 12,000 were killed or abducted in those first terrible days. Young women and girls were forced into sexual slavery and traded as commodities. Boys were torn from their mothers and indoctrinated as child soldiers. Elderly men and women were executed en masse, their bodies dumped in what would become 94 mass graves. This was genocide with chilling precision. ISIS bureaucratized rape and violence, creating guideline pamphlets for fighters and using digital platforms to buy and sell human beings. They opened roads between Iraq and Syria expressly for trafficking Yazidi girls. They destroyed some 68 religious and cultural sites, seeking to erase not just lives, but the very memory of Yazidi existence and culture. Today, 11 years later, as we've just heard, the genocide continues in different forms. Over 2,500 Yazidi women and children remain missing. Hundreds of thousands remain displaced, many still living in camps in Iraq. Only a fraction of the displaced population has returned to their ancestral homeland of Shingar. The psychological trauma reverberates through generations, collective and transgenerational trauma that will affect communities for decades to come. Recent developments overseas offer glimmers of hope. Courts in Germany, France, and the Netherlands have begun prosecuting ISIS members for genocide and crimes against humanity. The Yazidi Genocide Memorial now stands in Salah village, a testament to those who perished and the strength of those who survived. Yet these steps towards justice remain, as we've heard this morning, insufficient against the scale of impunity that persists. As the first anti-slavery commissioner in the country, I recognise the Yazidi genocide as amongst the most severe manifestations of what we now call modern slavery. The systematic enslavement of Yazidi women and children represents slavery in its most brutal form, the complete denial of human agency and dignity. The Yazidi experience illustrates how modern slavery intersects with persecution, discrimination, and systematic violence, and how it becomes a weapon of social, cultural, and physical annihilation. There's a famous anti-slavery scholar, Orlando Patterson, who said that the experience of slavery is a form of social death. It's to have your social identity completely removed. But the experience of the Yazidi is something else again. It's that death on a different scale, aimed not at the murder of an individual's agency and identity, but that of a whole people. My work here in Wagga and elsewhere has taught me that combating modern slavery requires a preventive approach that disrupts the systems that enable exploitation. We can't merely rescue people from slavery, we must dismantle the structures that create vulnerability in the first place. The conditions that enabled ISIS's crimes against Yazidis persist in various forms globally. The marginalisation of ethnic and religious minorities, the weaponisation of sexual violence in conflict, the failure to address systematic discrimination, and the inadequate international response to ongoing persecution of minorities, from Xinjiang to Gaza to Iraq and Syria. Justice for the Yazidi people demands more than mere symbolic gestures. It requires concrete action on many fronts. First, we must prioritise the search for the thousands of Yazidis still missing, many believed to be held in detention camps in Syria and elsewhere. We must ensure the complete and thorough exhumation and investigation of the remaining 30 or so mass graves in Shingar and around. So today I call on the Australian Government to do more to support this search and to ensure that family members living here in Australia, some of them living here in Wagga, can safely travel back to Iraq and Syria when their relatives or their remains are found, without fear of disruption of their visas or their social support payments. Second, we must support the prosecution of ISIS members under universal jurisdiction. It's estimated that over 200 Australians travelled to Iraq and Syria to join ISIS and other terrorist organisations in the region. And there is strong evidence that some of them were involved in the atrocities against the Yazidi people. Where are the prosecutions in Australia? Why are alleged perpetrators of the Yazidi genocide walking free in our community? I call on the Australian Federal Police to urgently investigate these cases. But justice extends beyond criminal accountability. It encompasses reparations for survivors, the restoration of destroyed communities, and the guarantee of non-repetition. Australia has a role to play in all of these areas, ensuring victims of violations of the human right to be free from slavery have the ability to obtain effective remedy for the violation of that right. Here in New South Wales right now, they cannot. Because these heinous crimes didn't occur in Australia and often weren't perpetrated by an Australian, victims of those crimes are not eligible for the schemes in place to support victims of modern slavery, including the federal government's Support to Trafficked People program and the relevant victim support arrangements here in New South Wales. This is frankly absurd. It means that the schemes set up to help victims of slavery exclude one of the largest populations of victims of slavery in the country. It means that women and children that survived ISIS slavery and are now living here as members of this community in Wagga Wagga are still struggling with the effects of trauma, with cognitive and psychological disruption, with ongoing medical complications, without dedicated, bespoke slavery responses supported by government. Now, they're not alone. They're supported by incredible work from the Multicultural Council, STARTS, the community, and increasingly each other. I know this because I and my office have had the privilege of listening to many of those survivors, many of you, in recent months, hearing your stories of resilience and courage. But we need to do more. True justice means enabling survivors to rebuild their lives with dignity, with agency, and with choice. My message today is that Australia isn't a distant observer to these events. That's why I'm here, standing in solidarity with all of you. Survivors are a member of our Australian community. We have a responsibility to support them on the road to recovery and back to flourishing. Doing that is not just the right thing to do, it's simply smart public policy. This is how we unlock the capabilities and learning and the wisdom that your community has brought here to our land. So like the Wiradjuri people and the Palestinians of Gaza, the Yazidi community shows us that survival is possible even in the face of systematic extermination. Your resilience offers for all communities facing persecution and discrimination many lessons. Today, we pledge that your story will not be forgotten, your struggle will not be ignored, and the call for justice will not go unheeded. For in defending the rights of all of us, we defend the foundations of our common humanity. It's through remembrance of those we lost and those still missing that we maintain this struggle. May that light of remembrance illuminate our path toward a world where such tragedies can never again extinguish the flame of human freedom. Thank you.
The MP of Wagga to come on stage and deliver his speech. He has stood with the Yazidi community with deep passion, compassion, and ongoing support, and we are grateful for what you have done for this community, and we are thankful for your presence here today.
Thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words today. I wish to begin by acknowledging the Wiradjuri people, the traditional custodians of the lands that we meet on, and pay respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I wish to acknowledge all of the speakers here today. Can I also acknowledge at the start the members of the Yazidi community gathered here today, the organisers and those who've spoken so powerfully this morning. I also acknowledge James Cockayne, the Anti-Slavery Commissioner, Councillor Carissa Sabidi from Wagga City Council, and can I also acknowledge the other speakers who will speak here today, in particular Belinda Crane from the Multicultural Council and Alison Reid from the STARTS organisation. As James has outlined in so much graphic detail, today is a day that we commemorate an horrific event that's deeply affected your community. It's a day of pain, it's a day of sorrow, and it's a day of courage. I wish to acknowledge that it's one day of many days of pain for members of this community. Because of course no day would go by without mourning those that you've lost, those who are still missing, and of course those who are still living with the effects of the trauma that they suffered, the effects of modern slavery in our community. It's important that we keep alive the cause. It's important that we continue to advocate. It's important that we remember despite the pain and the sorrow. And I support the words spoken by James Cockayne in calling on the Australian Government for its action in this regard going forward. It's important because violence continues to be used throughout the world. The violence continues to subject people to horrific outcomes. So we must continue to advocate, we must continue to remember. And today is a day of courage, because of course, to speak out in so much pain anguish, and we've heard that this morning, and we can see that in the pictures here. That takes real courage, and I wish to acknowledge that. I also wish to acknowledge the importance and the courage shown by the Yazidi community in rebuilding lives and community, and making such an important contribution to our community here in Wagga. It's no small achievement what your community has been able to do. But in saying that, I don't want to gloss over the ongoing pain and the ongoing issues that you are suffering. And I wish to thank the members of the community and the organisations that have spoken to me about the concerns that you have. And I wish to acknowledge the importance that we continue to support you here in this country and in this state, that we continue to provide you with the capacity to rebuild, and that means appropriate counselling services and support, access to specialist health care, access to adequate translation services, access to proper English language teaching in a timely way so that people can resume lives in the community, access to appropriate education, jobs and training. And I know those are concerns that continue to affect the community, and they are concerns that I have advocated for with the government and will continue to work to do that for your community. It's important because we do have a responsibility to rebuild and help you gain your agency and your future. We must never forget what has happened. I don't want for a moment to suggest that in any way we should stop our advocacy. And I wish to support the comments that the Anti-Slavery Commission has made in relation to victim support and the work as Chair of the Anti-Slavery Committee I continue to do in that area. So today is a day of remembering, and I acknowledge that it is a day of pain and sorrow, but I thank you for your courage, and I thank you for your contribution to our community. And I commit to continuing to advocate on your behalf so that you can rebuild your lives and obtain the justice that's so important for your community. Thank you.
The Councillor of Wagga Wagga, Karsia Subaidi, to come on stage and deliver her speech.
I'll start by acknowledging that we are in a Wiradjuri land where we are meeting here today, and also pay my respect to elders past, present, and the future, and also to the Wiradjuri people, First Nations people that are present here today. I'll also like to acknowledge our Yazidi elderly members and also the community members who's here today. It's such an honor to be here with our friends from the government and interagencies, and also our friends in the Wagga Wagga community. Also, it's an honor to be here today, to be able to remember and also feel the deep pain that each one of us is feeling today. I'll keep my message short because it's very difficult for me as well. So to those who haven't met me yet, I'm from Wagga Wagga, City Councillor Karisa Subedi, and I'll extend this apology as well because Mayor Dallas Stout and the Deputy Mayor Georgie Davis has extended their apology for not being here today. They've got prior commitments. But if I could please ask if my message can be translated, I'll keep it really short. Thank you. Fawaz gonna try his very best.
بجيش مرب عزيز في رسالك عزيز في ترجمين زي حاولين قدر المستطاع.
I just want to let everyone know that what you've gone through is quite unimaginable and that you are all very strong.
بجيم ديس بجموها موا تشتي بسري وهاتي نتشتكي رحتا وهن همو قوات نجبركا وتيرا شوينا وتستانان.
We honor your resilience because I know that whatever comes your way, behind this experience, this will shape you and this will make you stand strong in the future.
بجي شجاعتا وبني فتشتي وهاتي بسري وهاتي نتشتكي رحتا ونهر هريكاري دستانيني وبجي شجاعتا وكا مستقبلي وكا مستقبلي وكا ويتشيك.
And I'll just like to quote the words of the mayor each time he attends a community event. The city of Wagga Wagga warmly embraces the Yazidi people as part of our community.
بيجي كلمات هيدت مايري واقد بيجي وكا هاتنا خلقي يزدي وكم قالك كيف واشنا هاتنا خلقي يزدي بكفيا وكا مجتمعي واقد وجبنا وكا بيجي جزء كيش واقد.
We honor your culture, your strength, and the deep sorrow.
بجم تكريما ثقافة واتكن وفحزناك هون ديرا شوي.
Council support for the Yazidi community is twofold. We continue to support those of the Yazidi community that are still and live around Iraq, but more importantly, we support those that are now here in Wagga.
بجوكا هدف كونسل مساعدة يزديكا خلاص بونش دستي داعش ايتيد عراقي شيكا كاربن بس وقت بجي مهم تر افيداتينا افرواغا مساعدة وان بكن.
And with over 50 years of accepting refugees in Wagga, once you become a part of our community, our council and community wraps around you and supports you in times of both joy and sorrow.
بيجي في بينجي سالي وكا لاجاتيني ومساعدة وانكا وكوچون يزديش كون يزدي هاتينا هون بينا وكا قطك جواكا وكا بنيتش هات ومساعدة وكا بنيتش كاربن.
Thank you very much. Always remember that we're always here as your listening ear.
بيجي قالك ممنون وبجم فيهم زان بنام ديمن الفرنش ورا وكم بنيتش بدستي ما بيم كاربن وكم.
And we will always be here for you. Thank you.
بيجي ما ديمن الفرنش ورا.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Andrea and I'm a researcher at CSU.
أزيرو بيفافيت هرجمين بجنابهم أندريايا واسمع المجال CSU.
It is with deep respect and a heavy heart that I stand with you today to remember Roja Resh, a day that marks one of the darkest chapters in the recent history of the Yazidi people.
أزل فيدري ما إيروب احترام شورا وبدلكي كران بورد سكنم دا أم روجا رش سي ما هشتج بيرانكن روجا كهرب زحمة دريبوش تاريخ يزديادة.
This is not just a date on the calendar, it is a wound that still aches.
أفنها وتاريخك نبيساندنا هيش بريندارك ديشة.
It is the memory of lives stolen, families broken, and a community targeted for who they are.
تشتكي حياة هادنا دزاندن عائلة جيكرن وكشتن بس إجبر ديني واني أيزدي.
The atrocities committed were not only crimes against the Yazidi people, they were crimes against humanity.
جريمة داعش أو كرين نهوش إز ديارة بيسبو بس بحق إنسانية جريمته.
In my work, I have had the privilege and the heartbreak of walking alongside Yazidi women who survived the unimaginable.
الشغلة مدى أزب جنات إز ديارة شغليمة وزب جنات إز ديارة جدست داعش فلتين الشغليمة ومديت يتشلو أو سر تشتكي أم نكارن يعني بي بفكر نهنجيب زحمتها.
Women who were taken, silenced and abused, and yet who now speak, rebuild and lead.
أو جنات كهتينة دست داعش دا حساوان دزين وقالك عدا بيكرن بس هر أو جنوها اتبايفن وراد بنسرخوا.
Their strength humbles me. Their courage teaches me.
قوة تاوان قالك تشتي رايمتك وشجاعة تاوان قالك رايمتك.
And their dignity, even in the face of such pain, is something I will never forget.
خورتياوان جينا قالك تشتي رايمتك يكسري ابوچيوي هوقاز عذابي هوقاز تشتي سرچوين استاد نياوي تشتي جبيرانك.
And today, it is not only about remembering the past, it is also about recognizing the present and looking towards the future.
إيرو نهوا أم البريد نيرن أم النهد نيرن والمستقبل ما من نيرن.
Here in Wagga, the Yazidi community has become an integral part of our shared story.
الفيدري الواقع إز دي بونا تشتكي إيقنج إش سالفاما.
You have brought your culture, your warmth, and your resilience into the heart of our city.
وعادات وتقاليد خوا وخوشيا خوا آنينا فيدري.
You have opened restaurants that fill our streets with the aroma of your cuisine.
ومطعم فكرين الشارع المدى وخوارنا خوش الشارع المدى تجي كرينا.
You've launched beauty salons, started businesses, and contributed your skills and hard work across many sectors.
وصالون فكرينا وقالك نوعية شغل فكرينا شمرة وشخورة وقالك فيدا الماكريا.
You've shared your music, your language, and your traditions. And in doing so, you've helped make Wagga a more vibrant, inclusive, and compassionate place.
وموسيقى خوراي مكريا واللغة خوراي مكريا وعادات وتقاليد خوراي مكرينا بفيكي وواقا واقا قريا دركا قالكي خوشتر.
Today, we remember those who were lost.
إيرو أويد مرين البيرا مدينة.
We honor the survivors.
واحتراما ما إشواني دست داعش فالتين رهينا إيرو.
And we celebrate the strength of a community that continues to rise with grace, with pride, and with hope.
وأم احتفالي بقوة مجتمعي إزديدكن هكوسا رابوين سرخوا ونسكنينا.
You are not alone and you are not forgotten. Mamnoon.
ونبتنينا وما ونجبيرانا كرنا. Thank you.
Thank you for asking me to be with you today as we remember and grieve.
بجازة ممنون مش دعوة وإيرو الفرم في روجا ناقش أجي حزين ما أجي أبوار سكنم.
Words can never fully express the depth of your suffering, both as individuals and as a community.
بجي لأن بيفي ابتني إسلام نزاني يكي كان معانا ديدينا وشب سريوي هاتيا بجي ابتني وكمجتمع.
The scale of the tragedy and the strength it has taken to survive it lies far beyond the grasp of ordinary human experience.
بجي حجم في مأساتي وقواتا كجيرت في دازلام درباز وكوبعيش بس قواتا بشري عادي تكفي.
I see familiar faces here, people I've come to know over the years and others I look forward to meeting.
بجي از هناك جوان ناس كريم بجي هناك جوان ناس كرينا برين هوا جوان سالي تشوي ووقت بجي از متحمس از قالك جوان ناس بكميت كهج من ناس نكرين.
I hope you all continue to find ways to rebuild your lives, care for your families and preserve your culture.
بجز هي في دارمون همو ريكي ببينن حياتا خنول فرشيكن وبعيش القشية دبعالتي تخورا وتقوس ويتخوكن وثقافة خوكش بيرنا كنو ثقافة تشتي ثقافة خوكن البر.
I especially want to acknowledge the Yazidi women and children who survived captivity.
بجم في بالأخص از وكاحتراما فان زاروكو وجنيدي زديد كاش دستي داعش فالتين.
Your courage, your strength and your dignity is empowering.
بجي كرامة وشجاعة واتبيقى وتجوارا وهن سلنجي خوا بسكن وحياة أخو بكمل.
I am committed to supporting you in your healing and to always be guided by your voices.
بجي وكا أزي ديما الفربم ومساعدة وبكم إنه قالك بوهاتيا مساعدة وبكم إنه بني بشكاربم.
On behalf of STARTS, I reaffirm our commitment to stand with you, not only in remembrance, but in ongoing support and action.
بجي إج بامنا الدماء استاد مدبي أز بجمعنا نلتقريب تنيوم بورينا بجميرو بورينا وميديم ورا.
Thank you.
Hello everyone. On August 3rd, 2014, ISIS attacked our Yazidi community, beginning a genocide to eliminate our people. The Yazidis are an ancient group with unique culture, and we faced a plan for total destruction. Many men were murdered and secretly buried, while women, mothers, sisters, and daughters were enslaved and sold for as little as $10. The separation of families was terrifying. Husbands and sons were killed, and women and children were captured by ISIS. Our homes were destroyed, and many of us were deeply traumatized. As a survivor, I still feel like I'm in a nightmare. My mother and 2 brothers are still missing. I was sold and suffered sexual violence 4 times. These acts were parts of ISIS' strategy to destroy the Yazidi community. And the word silence was devastating. Even now, years later, the pain remains. Thousands of Yazidis are still missing, their fates unknown, causing immense grief to our families. The Yazidi genocide is not just a past event, it continues to affect us today. It highlights human cruelty and the urgent need for justice, healing and remembrance. 74 genocide did not end us. We are the children of the sun. Our lights cannot be extinguished. Our connection to each other, our culture, and our faith is unbreakable. From the ashes of pain, we rise with strength, with dignity, and with hope. Today we honor the lives lost, the survivors, and the resilience of every Yazidi soul. We are still here, we're still standing, and we'll never be silent. And we will never continue. We will always continue for justice. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask Wissam, who are friends from the Mandian community, to come and say a few words to the Yazidi community. We appreciate you traveling here today to stand with us in our difficult days.
Thank you very much. So I would like to say, Sultan Ahmilkhon, and Mandan means peace be upon you all. I know that we didn't come here before because that's the first time, and we just know about it recently. So we came along from Sydney. It took us about 5 to 6 hours to stand in support with the Yazidi community. So today I speak to you from the heart of the Mandan people, with a voice shaped by history, by pain, and by enduring belief in justice and dignity for all. We the Mandans know what it means to carry the weight of ancient memory. Like you, we trace our faith back thousands of years. We have lived peacefully, rooted in our own spiritual path, never seeking dominance, and only the right to exist in our truth. And like you, we have suffered for it. Our community, once vibrant across southern Mesopotamia, has been shattered by waves of persecution, forced conversions, displacement, and systematic erosion. Today, we are people scattered, many of us refugees, our sacred rivers now distant, our holy books carried in exile, but we endure. So when we see the Yazidi people, survivors of genocide, protectors of sacred heritage, we see not strangers, but family. We recognize the tears, the silence, the broken homes. We understand the struggles to preserve identity when the world refuses to understand it. We remember August 2014. We remember Shingal. We remember the children taken, the women enslaved, the families torn apart. We remember how even in the aftermath, your people healed into life, to community, to faith. The resilience is holy. That resistance is sacred. Let this moment to be a pledge. The Mandans, we walk beside the Yazidi people in voice, in advocacy, in shared remembrance. That your pain is not yours alone, that our survival is a shared act of defiance. Before closing the speech, I would like to say a word in the Mandan language for those who died in the massacres and the genocide. We say in Mandan, Bishmehon Hey Rabbi, Lo for Wahad Hey, Shafak Hatayna Huili, Ilhaza Nishimte, Ad-Din and Hillen Nishmartha, Idhaza Masakta, Shafak Hatayna Huili. What that means, in the name of the great living, let all those souls and their sins be forgiven and go through a smooth passage to the world of light. And thank you.
رجا وهموا بخير ونهموا سرچاوا هاتن وعيدا وهموا بيروزي بي راستي روام غانا اك روجا كغلا زحمات ام بيرتينن وكايرو فرمانك غلا كمازن هات السري ملتي ما يزدي لو كغلا جماعتي كهاتين بايين الحمد لله شكري ما دزدانان وهتا روجا ايرو من بيستيكو في چاي شنغالي سري خوش كثير داني نا ودس دانان يج دس داناي نيش ونمو سرسرا وسرچاوا هاتن زاروكا كي بخواسم لدو دايكا خود بزم زاروكا كي بخواسم لدو دايكا خود بزم سراني من خدانا زاروكا كي بخواسم لدو دايكا خود بزم شوك من لرزينا كراس دايك خادقرم زاروكاكي بخواسم لدو دايك خد بزم شوك من لرزينا كراس دايك خادقرم سراني من خدانا دشويتي نشابي هذي مليستو كمي خيال من مالامي سراني من خدانا دشويتي نشابي هذي مليستو كمي خيال من مالامي جمال خادور كتم بربكر سبركتم نانم الدستم ذال باشخوا ميزادكم جمال خادور كتم بربكر سركتم نانم الدستم ذال باشخوا ميزادكم روشني رطاب دشوارا دشويتي نشابي روجاني رطب دشوارا سر زنارك اسكتي شافي من تجي قرينا دل من تجي برينا أجي صالتكش تصكش واني كبسري زاروكي ازدياهاتي حتى نهانك بدون دانا يكدي هبوت جو زاروكي بينافم يعني قالك زاروك ونداب حتى نهاد وندانا داير المجفيان بخواس فنيت قلشي وريل مهات نقرتين أمان البربر البردار البروي هشيلو لو داي استدمين ملتشيات النكاري مشي أفرمان ومرينو طالع من هدي تدكشي لو داي مالدار رفي بلنگا سيلا الهاف وانا قرو بيلا ابسدا لاشدا فيتنا وانا قورا نكيلا لو داي كاني اويت بسندار من اخوت كرنا مزنو مختار او ایرو او رفیان و امهلان لویاگره دشوار لو 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 دای کلو خمد لما قلقن برین جوته النزاها ورا سروان لا شد بسري يانوان زاروك درفان دين يانوان ظالمون يا راو جينارا امد فروتين لو 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 دایش مدرد و کل به دنیای تمام بونا پایا بون کوچرم بون ربن بلا بون دنیا لیل دایش مدرد و کل به دنیای تمام بونا پایا بون کوچرم بون ربان بلا بون دنیا افدل مهم شوتي داي داي حاليا داي داي نما حاليما افدل مهم شوتي داي داي حاليا داي داي نما حاليما